With the Massacre recently being animated and the announcement that the faceless ones is next in line, many people have questioned what is next. Today, on Doctor Who Speculation, we'll be looking at the stories that are most likely to be animated, stories I'd like to see done, and the chances that episodes may return. Earlier this year, in an article by Digital Spy, one of the producers of these animations, Charles Norton, discussed why some serials are animated while others are ignored. He discussed problems such as the amount of episodes, the number of cast members, and the existing audio quality of each episode. He used The Crusade as a prime example of this problem, basically stating it's impossible on the budgets received. As a general rule of thumb, any audio recordings before the Daleks master plan exist in pretty poor quality. This is because Graham Strong had not begun recording episodes yet, and his recording method produced the best results. My Missing Episode series goes into detail on this. The recently recovered Randolph tapes are the recordings of Master Plan to Moonbase, so no new recordings of early episodes exist, to those who are already writing in the comment section. After this interview with Charles Norton, Matthew Purchase on Twitter tallied up the amount of episodes and the amount of characters, not including extras, for each missing story. This was based on Norton's notes, so we could have a rough idea of what is most likely to be animated. I have added to this list to discuss audio quality also. Yet, now with the announcement that the BBC America required all episodes of the Faceless Ones to be animated in full colour, including the individual episodes that still exist in the archive, those being episode 1 and episode 3, they requested this so the final product was more accessible to a wider audience. This basically means that any future serial will be animated in full, despite there being existing episodes within that serial. The BBC America backing are the only reasons we're getting these animations, so to those complaining, a black and white version will always be included on the home media release, and if the colour version didn't exist, we wouldn't get the animation full stop. So stop complaining when you have the option to watch it in black and white anyway. So let's look at the list. The stories that reach the criteria of high quality audio and low amount of characters are Evil of the Daleks, The Obama Snowman, and The Smugglers. The hardest being the Daleks Master Plan, The Crusade, and The Massacre. Yet, I'm not convinced. Let's look through each individual serial in this list and discuss its possibility using primarily these factors: episode count, the amount of characters, and audio quality. We'll start with the hardest to the easiest. It's clear the Daleks Master Plan is a beast. 12 episodes is an unreasonable amount for a team with a small budget to make, and it contains a whopping 42 characters. As someone who's made their own reconstruction of the serial, there are so many sets and locations that it really seems impossible for this to happen. BBC America made these recent animations possible, and unless there was a lot more money involved in this project, I don't see it happening anytime soon. Yet, on a positive note, the audio from the Randolph tapes and the Graham Strong recordings are considered high quality. But let's be real, the Daleks are in it, so that may be a good enough selling point to get more backers. The Crusade may only have 2 episodes missing, but it has 31 characters, and that's not including the insane amount of extras the serial has also. The story also suffers from poor audio, recorded by David Holman. It's also a tougher sell due to it being a pure historical, and I mainly state this because all of the recently animated episodes have been futuristic stories or involve some alien menace of sorts. There is no factual evidence to say that they wouldn't animate a historical though. This is also heavily mentioned due to being the only missing episode of season 2 and would fit perfectly on a collection box set. But more on that later. Yet because of the poor audio quality and the amount of character work, I find it difficult to believe the story will be animated anytime soon. The Massacre has 24 characters and 4 episodes to animate. The audio survives from Graham Strong's recordings, and the Randolph tapes also covered the serial. Both are considered high quality. Since this is a historical story, it may be more difficult to sell, but I think for fans it is a great story that puts Stephen Taylor in prominence and also gets to see William Hartnell play a different character. It also features the introduction of Dodo, and I feel as if this serial meets many of the criteria required and wouldn't be impossible to animate, but it is unlikely to be coming out anytime soon. Marco Polo has 7 episodes to be animated and has 20 characters. David Holman's audio is considered the highest quality recording of this story, but it's still quite poor. Many people discuss Marco Polo as an obvious choice to be animated due to the collection Blu-ray sets, since this is the only missing story from season 1 that hasn't been animated. So it would make sense to animate this story to complete a box set. Chris Chapman, who works on the Blu-ray range, has mentioned that these projects are completely separate, and if any animations do come out, they will be included on the box sets, but they have no say over what gets animated. I discuss how I believe the missing episodes will be animated on my previous episode of Doctor Who Speculation, Missing Episodes on Blu-ray. Due to its high number of episodes and characters and poor audio quality, I find it difficult to believe that this serial will be animated anytime soon. It's considered a bit of a classic within the Doctor Who community, so who knows? The Faceless Ones has 6 episodes and 18 characters and has high quality audio. Wait a minute, you might be saying, that's being animated. And you're right, and I've included it to get a rough idea to the future of missing episode animations. If 6 episodes and 18 characters is the biggest we'll ever get, Power only having 14 characters in comparison, is this the point of approval? Does everything after this serial on the list count as a possibility? Maybe. The Savages has 18 characters with a total of 4 episodes to be animated. Graham Strong and the Randolph Tapes audio recordings are considered high quality. This underrated gem is a departure story for Stephen Taylor. It consists of quite a few sets, but I wouldn't say many more than the Faceless Ones. It does have a costume change for the Doctor, which would affect animation time also. This story meets the 3 criteria fairly well, so it's a possibility that this will be animated in the future. The Wheel in Space has 6 episodes to be animated with 17 characters in the story. Graham Strong's audio is considered high quality. This is an interesting one and involves a conspiracy theory of mine. Episode 1 was turned into a cut-down reconstruction for the Missing Believed Wiped event. I believe, with no basis of fact, that this was the beginning of the animation team's master plan. This plan was to show potential bidders that they wanted to animate all the missing episodes in color, including orphan episodes, or it was just to showcase their work. Who knows? I believe the Wheel in Space is on their list of episodes to do, but it's in no rush. Since this story meets the criteria and features the Cybermen, I find it difficult to believe it wouldn't be animated in the future. The Highlanders has 4 episodes to animate with 17 characters. The Randolph Tapes and the Graham Strong audio recordings are considered high quality. The serial also contains a scene where the Doctor is in drag, which is iconic, but it does add extra costumes. There were rumours that this episode was to be animated after Power of the Daleks, but that didn't happen. More on that later. This rumour has gone further, saying they were choosing between the Highlanders and the Massacre Terror, and ultimately chose to do Massacre instead, due to there being less tartan in the serial. Since this story has few episodes, a decent amount of characters, and quality audio recordings, there is a good chance that the animation of this serial will happen. Fury from the Deep has 6 episodes to animate with 16 characters. Graham Strong's audio is considered high quality. The serial sees the departure of Victoria Waterfield and also has some of the spookiest imagery from Doctor Who ever made. It's been a contender for animation for many years in rumour, ever since the Power of the Daleks came out, with literal no basis apart from how good would this be? Also possibly because it followed the Web of Fear and would close Victoria's story. I think this story is begging to be animated. It has the right amount of episodes, characters, and has great audio recordings. The Mythmakers has 4 episodes to animate with 15 characters. David Holman and Richard Landon's recordings are incredibly low quality and is most notably poor when background music is played. It's also a comedy episode, which is a bit harder to translate to animation. Due to the audio quality and the comedy angle, I find it difficult to believe that this story will ever be animated unless higher quality audio recordings are found. The Celestial Toymaker has 4 episodes to animate with 15 characters. The Randolph Tapes and Graham Strong's audio recordings are considered high quality. This is an awkward story because the guest cast constantly change costumes and new sets are prominent in each episode, which means making new assets for each episode. It also contains a high amount of action due to the characters playing games. Due to the high quality audio and the prestige that it has between fans, it wouldn't surprise me if the story was animated. The Underwater Menace has 4 episodes to animate with 15 characters. The Randolph tapes and Graham Strong's audio recordings are considered high quality. The animation team seemed to be focusing on season 4, so it would make sense if they did this serial also. Due to the high quality audio recording, it wouldn't surprise me if they animated this story. It would surprise me less if they only animated the 2 missing episodes, since it would be odd to animate half the entire serial. But if the American backers want it in color, then I guess all 4 would be animated. The Space Pirates has 6 episodes to animate with 14 characters. The audio was recorded by an unknown Australian, which exists in high quality. It's the same source that was used for the Invasion animation. This serial is a bit of a space opera that visits quite a few locations, so there are a magnitude of sets for the serial. Fan opinion of the story overall can be seen to be quite low, but I think if it was animated, it would receive quite a reappraisal, similar to how The Enemy of the World was when it was returned. This story is the only serial of season 6 that hasn't been animated, so if there was any linking to the Blu-ray collection box sets, it would make sense to animate this one also. But I don't believe that though. Due to meeting all the criteria, I believe that this could be animated one day. The Web of Fear has only 1 episode missing and has a total of 14 characters. I find it very difficult to believe that they would animate all 6 episodes instead of just 1, so this will probably be its own standalone animation. Hopefully in the vein of previous animations before the Power of the Daleks, it would make more sense for this episode to be black and white and 4:3 just to simply match the surviving 5 episodes. I think out of all the stories to be animated for the Blu-ray collections, this may make it. That's if we're really dreaming. I doubt their budget would allow it. The Smugglers has 4 episodes to be animated and 13 characters. The Randolph tapes and Graham Strong's audio recordings are considered high quality. This story has Ben and Polly's first adventure in the TARDIS and is a strict historical story. Out of all of the Hartnell stories, this one ticks all the boxes. Short amount of episodes, few characters, and great audio recordings. So it seems like a perfect choice to animate the story, and I have no doubt it'll happen sometime in the future. The Obama Snowman has 6 episodes to animate and 12 characters to represent. Graham Strong's recordings are considered high quality. The story also boasts a limited amount of sets, but contains a large amount of location filming, so how easy that would be to replicate is unknown. I think this story has a possibility of being animated due to meeting the criteria and also featuring the Yeti, which are a popular Who villain. The Evil of the Daleks has 7 episodes to animate and 11 characters to represent. Graham Strong's recordings are considered high quality. I think it would make sense for the next animation to be The Evil of the Daleks, due to the story of the faceless ones leading directly into it. Like I mentioned earlier, the Highlanders was rumoured to be completed after the Power of the Daleks, and basically that taught us to expect the unexpected. It also makes sense because the Daleks are profitable, and the animation team seem to be favouring the Patrick Troughton Doctor rather than William Hartnell. I think due to the Daleks, the high quality audio, and the amount of characters, it is a good chance of being animated, and if we're lucky, it'll be up next. Galaxy 4 has only 4 episodes to animate with only 9 characters. Sadly, this episode suffers from poor audio, but not distractingly poor in my opinion. This story is possibly one of the easiest to animate of the bunch. I say this due to the limited amount of sets, since there is only 4 major sets, one of them being the TARDIS interior. I think this one is likely to be animated in the future, and if they wanted to approach a cheaper Hartnell to test the waters, this would be a pretty safe bet. Yet, due to the audio quality, it may stop that from happening. Mission to the Unknown has only 1 episode to animate and has 9 characters. The audio recording was done by David Butler and doesn't exist in great quality. It's easy to think that this episode will be animated due to its simplistic nature. It's the same reason why Ian Levine commissioned David Bush to animate the episode, to use as a pitch for the BBC, who never really asked for it in the first place. Yet, with the U-Clan Mission to the Unknown recreation, it makes more sense for that to be the version that is represented on the home media range, alongside a Telesnap reconstruction. But never say never. Due to the short amount of episodes, not many characters, and the poor audio recordings, its possibility really is a guessing game. I think it really relies on what the BBC plan to do with the U-Clan recreation, and if how they'd want to represent the original production alongside it. So, That's just looking at the bare facts, characters and episode numbers. But who really cares about facts? What would you just love to see? For me, there is nothing I'd love more than to see the Daleks master plan animated, so I can finally stop making reconstructions of it. I'd also love to see the Savages be done, since it was the first story I attempted to reconstruct, and features the departure of Stephen Taylor, who is one of my favourite companions of all time. I think that stories that are important to the wider story of Doctor Who are important to me. This means companion departures and entrances to the show. So stories like the Massacre, the Highlanders, the Wheel in Space, the Mythmakers, Fury from the Deep, Evil of the Daleks, just to name a few. Putting it like that really shows how much we're missing, isn't it? We aren't just missing great stories, we've lost important character moments. But are these episodes gone for all eternity, destined just to be animations, or could the original prints still be out there? Speculating on which episodes may exist can be quite difficult. Some stories, such as Marco Polo, had 9 prints that circled the globe, yet none exist in the archive. Then there's stories such as the Daleks master plan that shipped out only 1 print, but manages to have 3 episodes surviving in the archive, those being episodes 2, 5, and 10. So in theory, the more prints that exist, the likelihood of that serial existing should increase. Then why don't we have any episodes of Marco Polo in the archive? Paul Vanezes said in the Radio Free Scaro podcast that there was no question that there are missing episodes in private film collections. Film collectors are a tricky bunch in a way that they have preserved lost media when it could have been junked, so we should be thankful. But of course, as obsessive Doctor Who fans, we just want to see the episodes. But considering the alternative, that being a pile of cinder, isn't it better that they're in a safe collection and that one day they'll be able to grace the public again? Or, just storm Ian Levine's house. They can't stop all of us. I just threw Ian Levine's name out. We have no evidence to say that he has missing episodes, it's just a joke. Paul also said that there are only 1 or 2 episodes that he knows are in private hands, not hundreds or anything crazy. Yet it's interesting to speculate what these episodes may be. I think most likely they could be episodes of Marco Polo, 10th Planet 4, or the Daleks Master Plan Episode 4. 10th Planet 4 and the Daleks Master Plan 4 were episodes borrowed by Blue Peter and they were never returned. But returning to the returned oddities such as the Daleks Master Plan episodes, you can't really guess. It's truly an unknown. I'm expecting comments saying, I hate animations, why don't they just use deepfake technology? Which is a topic for a whole other video. Basically saying why it's not really financially possible to do any of that yet. But today, we're discussing the future that seems to be in place. What story out of these would you like to see animated, regardless of impossibility? Don't forget to subscribe to the official Josh Snares YouTube channel.